All right, hello everyone, and I'm wrapping up the week here in Mobile. Got a little suntan going, looking good. My voice going a little bit, but I'm feeling pretty good. And just to give a little update, this is gonna be kind of my wrap up for the week pre-game. So this is before the game of stock up, stock down. Some players I thought did better, improved their stock. Some players I think hurt their stock, and most guys stayed pretty close to consistent. There's some names I had on here that it was kind of ticky tack, so I took them off. But if you have questions about specific players, please tweet me. I don't know if you're if you're gonna see this before the game on Saturday, but if so, I'm doing the radio broadcast here in Mobile for WNSP, WNSP.com, so you can listen to that while you watch the game and get some more insight from me about some of these players. And I'm going to be on there with Tim Finnegan from WNSP. He's doing play-by-play. The color guy is going to be Joey Jones, who is the head coach for South Alabama. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. So let's go top weeks, stock up. Who helped themselves? I think the top guy here, he won at the player banquet last night, the most outstanding player. Pitt's defensive tackle, Aaron Donald. I think he's in the first round. I don't know how you don't consider him in the first round now. Stud in high school. Even though he was a three-star recruit, he was a stud for Penn Hills. He was a stud in college, most decorated player to play in the Senior Bowl. And he just dominated down here all week. So no matter what happens in the game, I think you got to take him in the first. Next, Notre Dame offensive tackle, Zach Martin. I thought he looked good at offensive tackle. He was very solid. I thought at offensive guard, he was the only guy to hold Aaron Donald in check in their practice. I think he's established himself as not only a first-round pick, but a top 20 pick with this week. Oregon wide receiver Josh Huff. Now, not a first-round pick, but I think he was the best receiver down here in terms of his play. I'm not saying he will be the first one taken. That'll be Jordan Matthews, but Josh Huff got separation really well. He was hurt this year for Oregon. I think it was tough to get a good feel for him for me, and I got a really good feel down here to say, hey, third, fourth round, I think this is a player that can excel not only in the slot but also on the outside, so I liked him. Auburn defensive end Dee Ford, dominant speed rusher, and he's someone that can just blitz off the edge. You can set him up at outside linebacker in a 3-4, defensive end in a 4-3, move him around, mismatches. I think he could be a special player in the NFL. I am going to say he will be a first-round pick. I'm going to say right now I think he will be, and that's my prediction. I think he's worth it with a lack of pass rushers in this draft. Liberty cornerback Walt Aikens. If there's a player that said, hey, you better watch some more of me, it was Walt Aikens. He may have been the best or second best. I'll get into the other guy in that South roster, cornerbacks of the week. Walt Aikens looked like he belonged. He was tough. He could press at the line of scrimmage. He was very fluid. He could cover these guys. He did not. It wasn't too big for him. I think Monday was a little rough. After that, knocked it out of the park. So I have to watch more, and he could end up being my top small school cornerback. Him, Pierre Desir, a couple other guys I like, Todd Washington. There's a few others. So it's going to be a fight. The other corner of that South squad is Florida's cornerback Jalen Watkins, the brother of Sammy Watkins from Clemson, and he had a very, very good week. I thought he was another player who just seemed to blanket the receivers, whose transition was very good to going from coverage to attacking the ball. So I was very impressed with him. I think he could slide into that second-day mix, and for Aikens, I think he's probably still more of a third-day pick, but early third-day pick. Florida State linebacker Christian Jones, flying all over the field, and he's someone that can play Sam, can play Will. I think you can put him at either side as an outside linebacker, and can just do what you ask him to do. He's so physically talented, doesn't always show up in the games, and I think that's what is a question mark. So I think end of day 2, perhaps he could get taken, maybe even in the second round. Wouldn't surprise me. Wisconsin linebacker Chris Borland helped himself. Fantastic week. I mean, fantastic. Making interceptions, tackling guys, and knocking guys down. I mean, he played physically in these practices, probably more physical than the coaching staffs wanted them to play. But his small size did not affect his play in the slightest. I think he's established himself as a second-day pick, and maybe a high second-day pick. Ohio State offensive tackle Jack Mewhort Really good week. Really good week. I'm a Buckeye alum. I've watched every game Jack Mewhort's played, and he's never impressed me. But he looks like a starting tackle in the NFL, and I think he's not the guy you maybe necessarily want going against the best pass rusher for the other team. But you make that decision and you play him where he can succeed. I think he could be a starter for a long time. Early second round pick. Nevada offensive guard / offensive tackle Joel Bitonio is underrated. Still going to be underrated coming out of this week. I thought he had a very good week. He gets great leverage. His hands got inside. I think he's probably a better guard than tackle, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did get drafted as a tackle and tried there first. I mean, another player in like third round, maybe the back end of the third, you can take him, and he could slide in there pretty quickly. I'm a fan. Fresno State quarterback Derek Carr, best quarterback down here. By far, I think he hit his expectations. I wouldn't say he exceeded his expectations, but I think he hit his expectations. I think he will be the fourth quarterback to come off the board, and I think he will be a first-round pick when all is said and done. Maybe later in the first round than people think. Maybe he's not going to go in the top 10 or anything, but in the second half of the first round, I could definitely see it. Alabama wide receiver Kevin Norwood, very impressive. Kevin Norwood was never the first, second, third option for Alabama this year. But when they needed a good play, third down, they need a first down, McCarron was looking at him, and he would catch the ball. Made an exciting jumping catch every day in practice. I think teams are pleasantly surprised and going to take him in that third day of the draft. Colorado State center, Weston Richburg, now my number one center in this draft after this week. Rock solid. He can move guys off the snap, run blocking, pass blocking. He can be a starter. I think he's a solid second-day pick, maybe even a second-round pick. Would not surprise me. I think Weston Richburg is going to start getting some more publicity. Eastern Illinois quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo had a good week. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not Derek Carr. When you're going up against Derek Carr, that's a problem, but he's so quick. West Coast potential quarterback there for Jimmy Garoppolo, and if he can get the ball out quickly, short drops, use his eyes, he scans the defense quicker than Carr does, and I think that's going to help him. Clemson offensive tackle Brandon Thomas, he convinced me he could play tackle. That was the big thing. I thought he would only be a guard. I'm probably still going to keep him in those rankings, but he convinced me he could play offensive tackle, and he's athletic enough. His kick slide was pretty good, so I think he's very versatile. I like him. Lindenwood corner Pierre Desir looked like he belonged in another small school cornerback that really excelled after that good Shrine week he had. Came down here, no fear, seemed to adjust the coaching very well when they would coach him up on how to use his body. I was very impressed, and I think he is, I would say, third or fourth rounder. Penn State defensive tackle Daquan Jones, tough. He's not going to be much of a pass rusher, but man, he held his own in a lot of reps, and I thought he looked very good. He always made that offensive lineman work way too hard to keep him at bay. So I think early in the third day, he's moved himself into consideration. Virginia offensive tackle Morgan Moses, just a look in the size and the athleticism he showcased. You have to consider him. I would consider him in the second round. It wouldn't surprise me if he moves up into the first round just with how athletic he is. I thought he had an excellent week. Arkansas defensive end Chris Smith. Nothing flashy with Chris Smith. Maybe play a little linebacker, but going to put his hand on the ground, I think, at the next level. And I think he's maybe an early third-day pick. Maybe go a little higher, but I think third day is about where he's going to go. Nebraska corner Stanley Jean-Baptiste. I think he's established himself as a second-rounder. He's big. He's tough. He's a press cover corner. Has to go to the right team. Maybe he's better to be a safety, but I think he's a very good player. I think he's going to go definitely in the top 100, probably in the top 70. Louisiana Tech defensive tackle Justin Ellis. I've been impressed. I haven't seen a rep of his that he got pushed back. He always gets powerful force. Now, he's a nose. I think that's what he plays. I think there's some 3-4 teams that could use him as a nose. If you need a late-round nose pick, I think he put himself in a very draftable grade and maybe even goes in the mid-rounds. Toledo running back David Fluellen impressed me. He showed the ability to block. I don't know if he gets drafted. I think he could be a late round, 6th, 7th round pick. But to me, he put him on the radar that, hey, I want to draft this guy, see if I can get him in as a third running back, try to develop him a bit. BYU linebacker Kyle Van Noy, I've heard some mixed reviews on him. Personally, I thought he had a good week. I thought he looked explosive, got some good pass rush. I don't see him as a first rounder, but I think early in the second round he should be considered. UCLA linebacker Jordan Zumwalt, tough man. He is a raging beast. He just goes 158% every single play, 158 exactly every single play, and he was even asked to tone down the intensity, but he is a middle linebacker who will attack, and I think NFL teams will love that. They can rein a guy in. It's much easier to rein a guy in than ramp him up. And Zumwalt's a guy needs a little bit reined in, but you can do it. So I think he's probably early third day type of pick, but I think his name's on the radar now. So NC State corner Dante Johnson was a player that impressed me. Now, he played a lot of safety in college. I think he might be a better safety, but I liked his size and his length, and I thought he got better throughout the week at corner. So third day pick, but he has that size that a lot of teams are looking for now. Georgia Southern running back Jerick McKinnon was a quarterback in the triple option offense, and I thought he got better throughout the week. Not going to block anyone. He got knocked around a lot. But, man, he can hit that edge, stretch play, touchdown. He can do a lot of different things. So I think as a gadget back, kind of in a committee, good player. Northern Illinois safety Jimmy Ward. I think he had an okay week. Didn't do quite as well as I hoped, but I think he did well. I think he's probably one of the best cover safeties here. Might be the best cover safety here, and he's a good form tackler. His technique is very, very sound. He's just not super athletic. So I think early third day, 4th to 5th round for him. West Virginia running back Charles Sims impressed me. I thought he was the most physically gifted running back down here. I think he could go late in the second day, early in the third day, just with how running backs are falling. But he can catch, he can block, he can run, he can fit in tight spaces. Very good all-around player, kind of a poor man's Matt Forte. Very impressed with him. Washington State safety Deion Buchanan, I think he showed he has a little bit of range in coverage. He's definitely more of a strong safety in the box, but he can be a free safety. So I like him, and I think he's going to go on the second day somewhere. Marshall tight end Gator Hoskins impressed me. H-back type, kind of he's a tough player to fit. You have to have the right offense to fit him in because you don't want him in line, but you want to have him in the backfield sometimes. You want to have him catching passes, goal line stuff. Lots of work he can do. I think he's a late-round pick. But definitely, I think he's going to get himself drafted after this week. And then Texas receiver Mike Davis, kind of smaller than I liked, but he made some good plays. He struggled with catching the ball early in the week, got better with that, got better with his route running. Very impressed with him. So, man, that's stock up. Come to the Senior Bowl, people. If you're a player, come here. Look at all those stock ups. 21 players, stocks up, and stock down. I don't have very many. I have this tiny list here. And stock down starts with Clemson quarterback Taj Boyd. Just did not meet my expectations. I thought he could come out here and be the second best quarterback. He was maybe the worst quarterback in terms of his practice week down here. So I think he's a third day pick. I think he's still going to get drafted 5th round or so, and he can try to develop him. Stanford defensive end Trent Murphy. I didn't see anything stand out. He had a couple of nice pass rushes, but he is not ideal putting his hand in the ground. I'm a little bit scared about drafting him as a D-end. I think he's a better linebacker. I think he's better in coverage than people give him credit for. But here in the Senior Bowl, he's playing D-end. Didn't quite work out. Another kind of transitional player was Michael Sam from Missouri. Led the SEC in sacks. Transferred to linebacker here, and he just doesn't have the fluidity, doesn't have, I think, the FBI of that position to fill it in. I'd be very scared to draft him as a linebacker, and I think as D-end he doesn't really fit either. So I think Trent Murphy still could go in the back end of round 1, maybe early round 2. I think Michael Sam might be more of a third round pick, to be honest with you. It depends where you fit these guys in. Baylor offensive guard Cyril Richardson, not very impressive. I thought we'd see a lot more. There's a lot of hype going into the week. Maybe he's a top 30 player. He's a good run blocker. I don't want him pass protecting from that interior. I mean, if he has to go up against the better penetrating D tackles like Geno Atkins and Dominican Sue, I don't think it's going to work out. So I have him more as a second-round pick now after this week. North Carolina defensive end Kareem Martin just didn't show me anything. Just didn't show me anything. Maybe he's someone that fits more in the 3-4, 3-4 D end or something like that, because his pass rushing skills were not up to snuff this week. So not overly impressed with him, and I think he's more of a later round pick. Rice kicker. Let's go special teams. Rice kicker Chris Boswell. I really thought he could come in here, boot 50+ yarders, big leg. I mentioned it numerous times. I had him on my fantasy team. I loved him there because he'd get those long field goals for extra points. But, geez Louise, the wind killed him early in the week. He looked like he was trying to be accurate, so it wasn't going far enough. It was rough. And then Tennessee State offensive guard Kadeem Edwards just did not fit. He just was not up to the par of the rest of these players. I think he's a late round developmental practice squad player. He has some physical tools, some physical talent, but not ready for the NFL. So there you go. There's my stock up, stock down from the week. After the game, we got podcasts galore. Go on iTunes, search Draft Countdown Podcast. Find it, figure it out. Go to WNSP.com, listen to the game on there, and I will see everyone later. Senior Bowl week almost over.